everyone, welcome back to the Glass Seats podcast. This is our show where two hockey aficionados discuss their perspectives on headlines surrounding the NHL, including recent stories, game highlights, league culture, and other topics trending amongst the fans. This is Viddy.
And my name is Mrinal, and this week in hockey, Alberta fans, I'm feeling for you.
Yeah.
Both sides of the Battle of Alberta, missing some players in a big week. We got the Heritage Classic on Sunday, and there's going to be no Rasmus Andersson and no Connor McDavid.
Is that confirmed with McDavid?
Most likely.
Okay, got it.
I think he's whatever listed as like day to day or week to week or whatever, but it doesn't seem likely that he's going to play.
Yeah. What's hilarious is whenever you, at least right now when we're recording this, when you watch any of the highlights, the goals highlights on the NHL app, they're really promoting this hard, and they're like, Nazem Kadri and the Calgary Flames and Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. I was like, this aged horribly.
Yep.
I mean, you can't really account for injuries like that, but man,
that's just bad luck.
Yeah, this is supposed to be that big game for the NHL, especially for Canada. You know, they're finally getting something cool to like relish in, and now it's just...
Yeah, Battle of Alberta, which is one of the most historic rivalries in Canada.
Yeah.
And the first outdoor game of the season.
Yeah.
And no McDavid.
Yeah, the biggest name on the ice, just most likely not playing. It's been rough.
And Rasmus Andersson out suspended for an egregious hit.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, so where do you want to start? In Calgary or in Edmonton?
Let's start with Calgary. Let's start with that hit, as you mentioned.
We will start with the hit. Rasmus Andersson suspended 4 games for a hit to the head of Patrick Laine of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He appealed this decision and said he wanted to either get a suspension removed or get lesser amount of games. Gary Bettman said, nope, you are getting 4 games.
You know what? Good for him. Good for Gary Bettman.
Yeah.
Like that is the right decision. If anyone who hasn't seen the hit, go look it up for yourself, but it is disgusting.
Isn't this exactly what we were saying we needed to crack down on last episode?
Yes, yeah.
Like, we enjoy the physicality of hockey, don't get us wrong.
Yeah, this was headhunting, though.
This was a flying elbow to the head in the dying second. I'm pretty sure there was under a minute left. Dying seconds of the game.
Jump 2.
You were just upset you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, he jumped. He left the ice, which is straight up rule breaking.
In terms of dirty hits, obviously, it's hard to find anything that was worse than... You know, the Bertuzzi sucker punch or the Matt Cook hit or even the Raffi Torres, half season suspension.
Yeah.
All of those were really bad, but this is like, I don't know how anyone can argue this in the favor of Calgary. It's bad.
And just to give the full story of the other side of the hit, Laine is listed as day-to-day, no confirmed timetable for him coming back.
Yeah.
But that is Columbus's number 1 center.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah. And as you said, it's just he sore loser, honestly. Like they lost and he couldn't take it and you know, let his emotions get the best of him. Hopefully, obviously I didn't watch it, you know, any post game interview, reaction, whatever. I hope he feels bad about it, but yeah, it was a classless hit.
Yeah. So let's start with this. Is 4 games enough? Are they being strict on the suspensions like we were asking them to?
I don't remember if he was a repeat offender or not.
He was not.
Okay, then 4 games makes sense.
He had 1 previous fine.
Okay, yeah, then 4 games in my opinion. I mean, he's missing the Heritage Classic.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad as is, right?
We can't take that into account, right? A game is a game is a game.
Yeah.
We have this problem in the playoffs all the time where suspensions are less because, it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I feel like check to the head is a check to the head. Right?
Yeah, every bit about this was intentional. There's no way you can argue this in Calgary's favor. So I think 4 games is reasonable.
Yeah,
it's not like too little, but it's also like an inconvenience for sure.
The only defense like Anderson, I think, could feasibly put together is going to the past history of the NHL of not suspending these players.
Okay, well...
Which is a bad argument.
Yeah.
But it's the only argument that he has, right?
Like, I mean, is he living under a rock? That's not how the NHL's been for years. Like...
I mean, they've been, even as close as last year, they've not been consistent on suspensions, right? We can agree on that.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, yeah.
Right.
So it was one of those take your chances?
Yeah, so he can complain, but why is it me? Which is a stupid argument because I feel like the NHL did the right thing on this one. And, you know, I don't think Anderson's going to get any sympathy here.
No. Did you watch this happen live? Were you watching the game?
Not live.
Okay, because I'm curious to see if anyone jumped him, honestly, like on the like, you know how when there's a dirty hit thrown, and there's players immediately fighting. I mean, this is absolutely a time to respectfully beat someone's ass. This is a terrible hit to throw against one of your star players, your number 1 center, and just no repercussions, you should absolutely jump up and defend your teammate in this situation.
Yeah. And I'm sure they did. Like, I don't think Columbus is a team to lie down.
No, of course not. No. So, I mean, yeah, this is one of those times where, going back to last week, fighting might actually keep the game safer in the case that, you can't let players think that they'll get away with this.
And I think, going back to last week as well, that having a harsh suspension for this will make players think twice again.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, again, the right thing to do. I think we can call this one a win.
Yes.
A rare win.
A rare win by Gary Bettman. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
I think we should take that as fans.
Yeah. Moving on, speaking of injuries, let's move on to the fact that, Edmonton is injured. Connor McDavid's out.
Yeah. McDavid out 1 to 2 weeks, upper body injury. They haven't been more specific than that.
Would you say, given that it's very, obviously they're not going to disclose specifics.
Yeah.
Do you think that this vague injury is troublesome, or is it really just 1 to 2 weeks? It's not a big deal. He'll be fine. They said it was a muscular strain from what I read.
Oh, okay.
So
that's still pretty vague.
Yeah. So I was like, it's definitely not a broken clavicle like it was his rookie year.
No, it wouldn't be 1 to 2 weeks if it was that. Of course, it'd be much longer.
Yeah.
But you're asking if this is concerning, right?
Yeah.
If this injury had happened in January, I wouldn't have been worried. But if
in January,
yeah, in the middle of the season,
okay,
let's say,
okay, got it.
This close to the beginning of the season, with the start that Edmonton had, I think with all that context, I'm a little worried. It makes me wonder if he had something nagging previously, because he hasn't had the best start.
No.
And I mean, Edmonton as a whole has struggled, but McDavid has been outscored by Draisaitl pretty easily in the starting of the season, and that's unusual.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if he already had something nagging him, and now he tweaked it. Now he decided to just rest it, and that it'll come back stronger. I think that's the best case you can hope for Edmonton. But this start in Edmonton has not been great, and now you have your best player and captain sidelined.
I'm going to see this on the flip side. I think, as we've mentioned, at least I've mentioned in the past, this is what looks like to me a two-man team between McDavid and Draisaitl. If I'm anyone else on the roster that's not a goalie or a defensive defenseman, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to hey, I'm going to actually try to prove my worth. My captain's down and out. I got to help this team out because clearly we're not great. We're 1-4-1. This is a terrible start to the season. We're supposed to be at the top of the standings. We're supposed to be going for a cup this year.
It's supposed to be them in Vegas fighting for the Pacific.
Yeah, and it's not even a competition right now. If I'm anyone else on that Edmonton roster, I'm kind of looking everyone else in the eyes and saying, hey, step it up, guys. We need to do it for our captain if you're not do it for yourself. So I don't know. I think this is a good opportunity for everyone else on the Edmonton roster.
Just to put in some context of how bad the start is, Edmonton is currently 31st out of 32 teams.
Yeah.
The only team behind them is San Jose that doesn't have a win.
Yeah.
And San Jose is not trying to get a win.
No, San Jose is trying to stay at the bottom to win, hopefully, a lottery draft pick. Yeah. If I'm anyone else on that Edmonton roster, I'm going to try to take this as a sign of opportunity instead of, a blowback, I guess.
Maybe you should have some pep talk with Evander Kane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
He's been very quiet lately, right?
Yeah, but did you see his, I forgot of his last game, the game against Winnipeg, the one where McDavid got injured. Did you see his intermission interview?
No, I didn't.
So he had a fight that game with Brendan Dillon and a 5-minute penalty. And he basically said, I realized the coach wasn't playing me that much, so I decided to, at least do something and have a fight. So basically, he's whining about ice time and decided to bench himself for 5 minutes.
Oh, man. Yeah, not the smartest of moves. I mean, I get where he's coming from. It's honest work, but it's not helping his case, I don't think.
Yeah, and this is Evander Kane, and when McDavid goes down, this is one of the players you want to step up, right?
Yeah, and I've been wondering that the past couple games where he was the guy who kind of propelled Edmonton to the next level offensively last year. Because they invisible, it feels like.
They took advantage of the Evander Kane Sharks situation and got Evander Kane for much less than someone of his skill would command. And it did them wonders. It really pushed them in from playoff team to contender echelon, right? But now it feels like he's disappeared and it's just the Draisaitl show.
Yeah. Why is he not getting ice time?
Apparently he hasn't been good.
Oh, that's the only reason?
Yeah, apparently Jay Woodcroft put him on the third line.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and he had a problem with that.
Fair. Well, I mean, okay, fair enough.
I mean, he's not even in the top 3 scorers right now.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
Bouchard is in there.
Yeah. Looking at these stats, I'm kind of surprised by it too. It's usually just, it's a 1-2 lock for McDavid, Draisaitl. You can kind of flip those around.
Yeah.
Third is usually at this point for sure Evander Kane, but I don't even think he's close to it.
Yeah,
yet,
either Evander Kane or Nuge.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are
Neither,
there.
yeah. So, I mean, like, guys, really, what's going on? If you're an Oilers fan, are you worried about this, or are you just kind of like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm worried. This was supposed to be potentially your cup winning season, and you're 1-4-1. Like I said, I understand there's a lot of season left to play.
I was going to say, it's
if
really
they
early.
went 1-4-1 randomly in like January or February, no one would care.
Yeah.
But you have to set a tone for your season, right?
Yeah.
Hockey is so momentum based.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Why are there so many Cinderella stories in hockey? Because a team gets momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why are there so many upsets? Because a team loses momentum right into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Edmonton has no momentum.
Yeah.
And are you going to get it back with McDavid out of the lineup for 2 weeks?
I don't think this is really an option. I think at this point, it's in a weird way, it's very early season do or die.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like setting the like mentality for the season, like
shit got real in Edmonton real quick.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that's not even 10 games in, but welcome to hockey. You know what I mean? Shit gets real fast. So
while we're talking about Edmonton struggles, we have to mention the other side of the puck.
Mm-hmm.
These goalies.
Yeah.
Neither goalie is below a 4 goals against average.
Yeah, that's not even bad. That's just horrendous.
That is horrendous.
Yeah. And I know Edmonton was kind of banking on, Campbell being better. We talked in past episodes.
Both of them were supposed to be better.
Yeah, we talked in past episodes about them, kind of who's assuming the starting role. But
have you watched any Edmonton games?
I've seen one so far. Yeah.
Do you see the kind of shots that they let get through to the goalies?
Not great ones.
I'd argue you could have peak Carey Price, peak Vasi, peak Brodeur in net. They'd still have atrocious numbers because the amount of shots that they let through and the type of shots they let through, I don't think anybody was saving them.
So you're blaming this more on defense than goalie?
I think so.
Okay.
If Ekholm is not on the ice, they're letting anything go by.
Okay.
Even when Ekholm is on the ice, if the puck's on the other side of the ice, just breakaways, 2-on-1s, 3 people camped out in front of the net. And Ekholm, I think, is paired with Bouchard, who is black hole defensively.
Yeah. I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Darnell Nurse just recently re-signed a pretty hefty contract to stay with the Oilers. Is this reminiscent of the Marc-Edouard Vlasic contract or extension where, he signed that big contract and kind of just disappeared?
No, Nurse was never that defensive stalwart. Nurse was more of an offensive guy.
Fair, but yes, but there's got to be somebody to help him.
Yeah. Ekholm needs help.
Yeah. I was going to say, you can't just... It's hard to pin this on one defenseman.
Yeah. Right now, it feels like they've just said, okay, Ekholm's going to handle the back end. The rest of you do what you want. Right? And if you're going to do that, you better score a shit ton.
Yeah.
But they're not scoring a shit ton, so they're getting caved in, right?
Yeah.
If they were winning games like 7-6, then all's gravy, right?
Yeah.
But they're not.
They're not, yeah.
They're not putting those 7 goals in net.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really curious to see what is actually going on within the locker room, either during intermission or after these games, because I can't imagine it's all pleasant in Edmonton right now.
I think they're pissed.
Yeah. And it's not just the coach, too. I'm sure the players are feeling some sort of way. I mean, they should feel some sort of way about this. It's not a great start for a Stanley Cup winning team,
Yeah.
Again, we're way over speculating. There's a lot of season left, but, as you said, momentum is important, and you got to set that intention early.
Yeah. Right now, they're also 75% on the penalty kill.
Yeah. That's not good at all.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, defense is clearly their problem here, right?
Yeah.
So whether that's, bringing in a new defenseman, bringing in a goalie, or changing some systems, someone's got to find a spark in Edmonton.
Yeah. I mean, there's been criticism in the past with Toronto about, this team can't defend for shit kind of thing.
Like Toronto can't defend?
Yeah. But I was like, look at the amount of goals they're putting up, I mean, they have a very, very strong offense. And I'm not saying, scoring 9 goals a game is sustainable, but at least they're scoring. It's not working here.
Like having a strong offense is all fun and games until you no longer have it.
Yeah.
And offense goes away like that.
Yeah. Which is that's where the phrase comes in, defense wins championships. And
yeah,
it's not looking too hot in Edmonton. So,
all right. Let's move on to the other conference.
Yeah, the other surprise.
A little happy story.
Yeah.
Out in the Detroit.
Yeah.
Alex DeBrincat leads the league in goals.
Nobody saw this coming. And if you said you did, you are a goddamn liar. You are a liar.
Nine goals, 4 assists, 13 points in 7 games.
Unreal. Like he got traded from Ottawa and to Detroit this offseason, and all of a sudden looks like he's right at home. And it almost feels like the rebuild's almost done at this point.
The switch flipped.
Yeah.
And we knew DeBrincat was good.
Yeah. But this good? No, nobody thought he was this good.
He is 2 goals ahead of Austin Matthews and Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
I don't know about Reinhart, but Austin Matthews is known for starting out of the gate hot.
Yeah. As he did with back-to-back hat tricks. Yeah.
And DeBrincat's hotter.
Yeah. Unreal. I mean, can we credit this to the man Stevie Y again? The Iser plan.
Every time you feel like, I don't know if Yzerman's doing things the right way, he's falling short.
Mm-hmm. He just knows. I mean, something about that man's IQ in terms of taking under the radar players and kind of just turning them into gems. He did it. All of Tampa. Yeah. Nikita Kucherov was a 2nd-round draft pick. And look at the way that panned out. And
honestly, Vassie a late round pick too?
I don't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised. Look at what he's doing with DeBrincat. Like, amazing trade that's really working out for Detroit right now. And it doesn't seem like it's lightening up anytime soon. He just got a hat trick off, I believe, in the last game, and doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. So
I was wrong about Vassie. He's a 1st-round pick, 19th overall.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, for a goalie too. Yeah.
But I remember even in Tampa, they fell short in 15, and there were questions like, are they doing things the right way?
Yeah.
And then I think Yzerman had left, but the year he left, they won the first cup, right?
Yeah, I believe. Or in 19, you're saying, are things going the right way?
Yeah, so in 15, when they lost...
Oh, they lost to the Blackhawks. That's right. Yeah.
And then in 19, when they collapsed against Columbus, there was questions about Yzerman.
Yeah.
And then he left, and then suddenly the team that he built won 2 cups in a row.
Yeah, I hate that he doesn't get credit for that. Because let's be real, he built that team and passed it off. Yeah, that was his team. He just didn't get credit for it. I don't think it's not that he needs credit for it. It's Stevie Y. He's going already down in the Hockey Hall of Fame as both a GM and player. But yeah, the man's a wizard. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and he's doing it again in Detroit,
as he should for his hometown team.
You think DeBrincat keeps this up?
He'll cool off for sure. But the way he's playing right now, it's reminiscent of Taylor Hall when he won the Hart with the Devils.
That was a fun season.
That was a very fun season. And, sure, the Devils didn't do great, but I don't even think we predicted Detroit to, be a top 3 team in the division.
I think we had them around the fringe.
Yeah, but...
It was basically someone from Ottawa, Detroit, or Buffalo is going to make it, right? And...
Right now, it looks like at the moment it's both Ottawa and Detroit. So pleasant surprises on both those ends. Things are going not great in Edmonton, but there also are things to look up to on the Eastern Conference, and count your blessings while you can.
Yep.
And fingers crossed that Edmonton figures their shit out too. So
yep. Lots of fun stuff on ice.
Yeah,
I'm watching the Heritage Classic this Sunday, so we shall see what happens there.
Yeah, let's see if. Let's see if that actually pans out to be a spectacle or not. So,
all right, shall we move off the ice?
Yeah.
Remember that Pride tape ban we talked about and how much of a dumb decision it was?
Yeah.
Well, the NHL walked it back.
Is anyone surprised?
2 weeks later.
Is anyone surprised with all the back? See, I believe, what did we name the episode?
Stand for nothing, fall for anything.
Yes. And that's exactly what the NHL did.
You fell for anything.
Yeah. It's there you got the backlash. They were losing the money. Scotiabank wanted to give away Pride Tape 2, and everyone was against it. Travis Dermott. We
got to give him his props.
Yeah. If you want to explain that, actually, just so we have context.
Yeah. So Travis Dermott, player for our Arizona Coyotes, wore the Pride Tape.
Yeah.
That was banned.
Yeah.
And, he didn't make a press conference, didn't put it on social media, just showed up with pride tape.
Yeah.
Arizona versus Anaheim, not even that big, no big marquee franchise against him.
Yeah.
He just wore it. And he's like,
what are you going to do about it? Yeah.
And basically now the NHL had two options, right? Either you fine him and you enforce this pride tape ban and get even more backlash.
Double down, yeah.
Or you walk back your stupid rule. And they walk back their stupid rule.
Yeah.
And I think in combination with Travis Dermott, like you mentioned, Scotiabank. Scotiabank said they're going to give away 5,000 rolls of pride tape across its branches in Canada.
Yeah.
Scotiabank is a big sponsor.
Yeah.
For the NHL.
And even they're pissed. So it's just like...
Pissed enough to give away 5,000 rolls of pride tape.
Yeah. And so, don't get me wrong. I am happy that they kind of came to their senses. I'm a little upset that the reason they're doing it is clearly because of financial gain. There was enough backlash to the point where it was going to affect them financially. And that is why they walked back. And I don't really... It is a little bit of a damned if they do, damned if they don't situation. But, like... Why the hell was it a rule in the first place? I mean, if you were trying to enforce this hockey is for everyone thing, stick to it. You were going to get you knew you were going to get backlash right off the bat. Like, stick to it. Stand for something. You know what I mean? Other than $, stand for something. I mean,
I hope they don't stand for we discriminate against LGBTQ people.
Yeah. Yes. But like, in this case, what they're really standing for is money. And that's the unfortunate reason they rolled it back. But at least they rolled it back. There's something hopefully to be learned out of this in the future. So,
yeah, even though they rolled it back, it's kind of damage done, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
like what's the metaphor? It's this: you when you break like a china plate, you can stick it back together.
You'll still see the cracks.
There's always
and stuff.
be a crack, and this is the fucking problem I have with the NHL.
Yeah.
You have taken that plate and you've smashed it so many goddamn times.
Yeah.
And every time you stick it back together and now there's a little spider web along this plate.
Yeah.
But we still stuck with this plate because it's the only freaking place that we can watch hockey.
Yeah. And then
we are held hostage to using this shitty plate.
Yeah. And they'll make you work really hard to watch hockey too.
Yeah, that too. And the plate's fucking hidden in the back shelf and there's a freaking paywall and the BetMGM DraftKings. Will he find the plate?
Why aren't we making money, guys?
Yeah. And the plate has a freaking milk ad in the middle of it. Like, oh...
This really stuck a personal chord with you.
I understand. I should be happy that they walked it back, right? But I was still so mad.
Yeah.
And I don't want all these people in my comments or whatever being like, "Oh, why are you mad? They walked it back." Yeah, but you broke the plate again.
Again, yeah.
After so many freaking times.
Yeah. There's a league culture problem, I would say.
Yeah. If there's 10 billionaires out there, I have an idea for you. Start a hockey league, pay Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews a little bit more than they do right now. You'll already have drag, and you can absolutely kick the shit out of this league that hasn't changed from 1917 when it freaking started.
Yeah, that is true. That you take away these star players that seem to be in every single piece of advertising or marketing, there's no league anymore. There really is no league anymore.
If there's 10 billionaires out there who want to own a sports league and absolutely kick the shit out of the NHL,
they probably could.
I honestly don't think it'll be that hard.
No. No. Yeah.
When you made this pride tape ban, you had to have known that this was going to be negative.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know, then you have to fix your freaking process or do something better with market research.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely terrible. And now Travis Dermott, of all people, was able to put you in a corner.
Yeah.
Is Travis Dermott a big star in the NHL?
No. I'm not going to lie. I have to look him up.
He's a decent player.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even Crosby, Kucherov, McDavid, Matthews,
Ovechkin,
McKinnon. Names that people would recognize outside of hockey. Hockey fans might not recognize who Travis Dermott is unless you're an Arizona or Vancouver fan.
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember him being on Vancouver, and he was like, oh, he's in Arizona now. And this is why he's making headlines.
Yeah. But this one player was able to take down your league.
Yeah. Stand for something. Stand
Come on.
for something. Yeah. Stop breaking the goddamn plate.
I swear to God, if there was another league, I would have switched by now.
I think a lot of people would have. A lot of people would. And I mean, you can't really blame the people who are choosing to watch European leagues now at this point, right? I mean, it's not that they have.
If I lived in Europe, I probably would.
Yeah, it's not that those leagues have like are bursting with personality or anything, but you know what I mean?
And to be honest, I have no idea what their politics are.
I don't
But
either.
at this point, I'm willing to give another league a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's greatest sport in the world, but man, what a terrible, terrible culture that needs to, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I don't even want to keep talking about this because it's just like, again, you know what I mean? Again and again and again. Like, just fix the problem.
Like,
I don't know.
I feel like against odds that we are hockey fans.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
There's up-teen sports teams in the Bay Areas.
I think the reason we're hockey fans is because some of the closest people around us at that time got us into it.
Yeah.
And that's why we got into it.
The probability is so low, right?
Yeah.
Most people get into it because some team wins a championship.
Yeah.
Sharks have never won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get into it because their parents are into a sports league, which wasn't the case for us.
Yeah.
There was such a low chance of us being hockey. And the weird thing is, if I talk to most hockey fans, it's something similar.
Mm.
So that means the very few fans that you are getting, you're pissing them off.
Yeah. I was like, I can't really see myself becoming a hockey fan in this day and age. I mean,
if I was 8 years old today, in the Bay Area, I'd be a Warriors fan.
Of course.
Let's be real.
Yeah. Or a Niners fan. Yeah. I mean, it's really difficult because I know the NHL means well. They want to like grow this sport. They want to like make it more inclusive. They want to do whatever. But man, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot over and over again. And the answer is there. How many times are you going to fuck up and like just continue the same mistake over and over again? That's the issue.
The definition of insanity quote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, all in the pursuit of, I'm not even sure if it's for money anymore. I really don't know because they could have made a lot more money. Yeah.
Maybe this is what the NHL wants. They want to be the little league and have a little exclusive boys club that, kicks a little rubber thing around the ice and nobody knows because nobody understands the rules.
Yeah. Isn't that still a culture problem though? In my opinion.
But maybe they're fine with it.
Fair.
That's what I have to conclude. You don't want to compete with the NBA and the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, even if they did, like, what do they have to like actually get them there? You know what I mean?
Have a fantastic sport.
Right. But that's not enough in this day and age.
Of course it is. Formula One just did it.
That's fair. Well, the Netflix documentary kind of propelled them there.
Yeah, so the NHL can't put a documentary together?
Yeah, fair enough.
And maybe we talked about this too on a previous episode. Yeah. Maybe don't follow just one team because that's not how hockey works, right?
They messed that up too. They smashed the China plate there.
Just have a documentary following the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every team. I want to know the whole storyline of the playoffs. It's the most exciting part of hockey.
Mm-hmm. That could have... Wow.
And I'm not, you don't have to follow 32 teams. You have to follow 16 and not even 16 the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it'll trim down.
Yeah. Simple fix. That could have just made it so much better.
10-episode series on the playoffs.
Yeah. Even if it's not Netflix, just put on wherever the Toronto one was. Amazon,
it was on Amazon. Any streaming service.
Yeah. Would have done,
Put it on YouTube.
Yeah. You know what's funny is actually, I met this dude at Hard Summer, and he's a Toronto fan himself. And I told him about this documentary, and this was news to him too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He was like, wait, there was an Amazon? I was like, wow, that's how bad the marketing is. And
I mean, to be fair, it was a season I think Leafs fans want to forget. But
sure, yes. But the fact that he's a Toronto fan, didn't even know it existed, is bad enough. And yeah, smashing the China plate over and over again. So I don't know.
Yeah,
we just want to see change.
We should just have a broken China plate here instead of this puck.
Yeah. Great. Should we put it in the logo maybe?
Yeah.
Conclude that? Yeah.
That's what's the glass seat. It's the plate.
Oh, the glass is no longer the window. Yeah. It's or the screen. It's just a plate.
It's just a plate.
It's the league culture just being smashed to pieces over and over again. So a little cynical.
ESPN had a new show.
Yeah. Not great. Was it?
I don't know. How much did you watch of it?
I watched none of it. Oh. I'm just assuming because it's ESPN and hockey. So
it was interesting. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Frozen Frenzy debuted. This is a whip around show. So which means they jump around games live as they're happening. If you've seen NFL Red Zone, similar concept where when interesting things are happening in a game, they cut to the game.
Yeah.
And why they debuted it this past Tuesday, because all 32 teams were playing 16 games across the NHL, start time staggered by 15 minutes. And they jumped around all the games.
Not a bad concept.
Concept's not bad.
Yeah.
Execution, I think, was lacking.
Okay.
Personally. So
what would you have done better? Or what could have been done better?
So I turned it on. After about 30 minutes, I had to turn it off.
Oh.
Because they jumped around so much. Like, you weren't in one game for more than, I want to say, 2 minutes.
Oh.
And they'd come back to the game, but they've done a bunch of games in between.
Yeah.
So they're moving so quickly that, especially with 16 games, I can't keep track of what's happening in what game anymore.
So when you say 2 minutes, it's not even... So if they're in the middle of a play, like there's no whistle blown dead, they'll just leave?
Yeah, they'll cut across.
Oh, that's
because
weird.
They're like, oh, something interesting is happening in this game, so let's cut over there.
That's strange, yeah.
Like, imagine you were sitting in a room with 16 screens and you had all the games on and you could just click on what's interesting. Like, that's what it is, but somebody else is doing the clicking.
I think this works for the NFL because there's a lot of stop and starting in the NFL. Like, you just have to set up and it takes time and game clock and stuff, but if you blink too fast or too slowly in hockey, you missed something.
And in the NFL, the scoring happens, there's a slow build up to your scoring, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to make it all the way down the field. And then that's the whole point of red zone. They cut in whenever a team is within 20 yards of the end zone, which makes it interesting. You want to see them score.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you're doing this for like fantasy purposes or something, right? Then you want to see who's scoring. With hockey, it's, again, so momentum based.
Yeah.
You know, the whipping around, it kind of cut the tension for me.
Got it. Okay.
Like, the whole joy of watching a hockey game is seeing your team, like, let's say your team is dominant. So it's that buildup of, okay, they're coming into the zone. They set up in the zone. They get all these shots. Oh, they got it out. Do it again. You know, like a power play, right? And then finally that goal goes in and you cheer because you saw all the work that went into it.
And there's a loud freaking horn to celebrate.
And there's a loud freaking horn and everything. But watching the whip around show, it's like, okay, we're going to cut it into this game, or they're going to flash back a little. And then you just see like Cale Makar dance around 3 people and score right away, which is cool.
Yeah.
But you're missing that emotional connection, right?
So I'm going to point out the positive here. And it's one, ESPN's actually trying with hockey.
Yeah, I will give them props for the effort.
I will got to give them props there. And two, I totally see where you're coming from, but I think the fact that we live in the let's call it the TikTok era, and nobody has an attention span anymore. In fact, probably nobody's listening to this podcast anymore at this point. They're all like, oh, I'll just wait for the reels. Yeah, that's the problem, right? Nobody has an attention span anymore, and you know, streaming networks are resorting to stuff like this.
But then, why does it have to be live, right? Why not just the next morning release a super cut of all the goals or something like that?
Is anyone going to watch that in the morning though? Like, because a lot of people want to watch multiple games. I admittedly, like, they want to keep up with everything. I don't think that's a problem. I just, how do you logically do that? Like, it's just with 16 games too.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is you scheduled 16 games.
So
if you had done the same concept with like, what's a typical night? 4 to 5 games?
Yeah, if even that, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say like
4 to 6. Let's say 4 to 6.
Yes. I think it would be much easier because I think the bigger problem is you keep jumping, and I've lost track of what game is what. Almost like half the teams in the NHL wear red.
Yeah. Imagine if it was Toronto versus Tampa.
Yeah. But both teams were playing that night. So now I don't know which one's Tampa, which one's Toronto.
Yeah.
It takes me a second. I got to look at the faces and be like, oh, that's Stamkos. Okay, so this is Tampa.
And you're a dedicated fan.
Yeah.
No casual fans are going to know that.
And by the time I've caught my bearing, they jump.
Yeah.
So,
man,
I think less games and more time spent in the game. You know, they staggered it by 15 minutes. I felt like that was not enough.
Yeah.
It needs to be closer to 2025 because ideally, if there's like 4 or 5 games, what should be happening is you are watching the period, let's say like 15 minutes of a period.
Yeah.
And then when it goes to intermission, you cut to another game. You should only be jumping when the current game you're watching is going to some sort of break, like TV break or intermission or something.
I was going to say, if there's like a puck over glass or some sort of whistle, that's a good time to cut away. Because already like that momentum that you were talking about, has been cut naturally.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're leaving the game or anything.
And I think having, maybe it's just my problem that 16 is too many. Maybe some people can track it, but I think that was way too many to keep track of, to know the storylines of every game. And I felt like I was just watching an endless highlight reel.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, how, given that, there's 16 teams playing, that is just a long time, a lot of hockey, like in terms of hours. How long did this last? Was this like a 6-hour marathon?
Yeah, it was, I think, from Pacific time. It started at, I think 5 p.m. Pacific, and it was until, I want to say 11:30.
Jeez.
Whenever the Vegas game ended. The Vegas was the last game on the docket.
That's like more or less scrolling TikTok for 6 hours, right? Or any of these like short form content.
It moved so quickly, right?
Yeah.
And like, I would assume that by the time you're getting to the end of the program, it was a little bit longer in games because there's just less games going on.
Yeah.
But when it started at 5, there was a lot of games going on.
Yeah.
So
I feel like mentally you're just gassed by the end of that.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather pick one game, watch it, and watch the highlights for the rest later.
Yeah. Yeah. So to summarize, one, great that, ESPN is actually trying again with hockey.
Yeah.
2, they're trying to cater to the fact that nobody has an attention span anymore.
Yeah, you want the important bits, and that's it.
Yeah. Downside is that's not how hockey works. And it might have been just too many teams. But it also could have just been, it's a work in progress, let's say.
Yeah.
And, I do expect it to get better. Great concept, as we said, but, work in progress.
It was good enough that I'll give it another chance.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And that will convince me enough to maybe try it too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I usually write things off when it comes to ESPN and hockey. Good to see that, they're actually trying to make a change. So yeah. Let's end on a positive on that note. So
yeah, I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
This has been Glass Seats. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple, and Google. We have new episodes every week. We are also on YouTube and Instagram. For those 2 platforms, the handle is at Spud Network Podcast. You can check out this show and you can check out our other shows. Whatever platform you listen to us on, watch us on. If you can leave us a like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is, helps us grow the show. See you guys next week.
Bye.